The recent conversations online are a perfect example of why this series should have never aired from the beginning. Period.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on.
So what's going on, you all? I want to have a conversation about the Dahmer series that was dropped on Netflix September 21st. It's been, like a week and a half since it's been out. And honestly, I had no intention in watching it. I was not interested at all. But recently, just seeing all of the tweets and retweets of folks making jokes about Jeffrey Dahmer and what they would have done to him, and he was attractive, the humanizing of him that is happening before our own eyes with jokes, and the trauma that the victims' families are experiencing. It's just way too much, and I really just want to discuss it for those who, who've watched it and, are feeling some type of way, and for those who are watching it and, maybe someone who was like, oh, I think Jeffrey Dahmer is attractive. I don't see what the issue is. I want to have a conversation and talk about why this series is extremely harmful. So the creator of this series is Ryan Murphy, who has also done American Crime Story. He recently did the Monica Lewinsky one, which I watched and was really, really good. He also did O.J. Simpson and some other stuff. Like, it's just Ryan Murphy. When you think of Ryan Murphy, you think of just trauma, white twinks and trauma. That's just what it is. And I honestly don't really trust Ryan Murphy that much. Like, Ryan Murphy has done some other stuff. He did Pose, but I had a lot of criticism about Pose and how, the treatment of Candace's character was done, how the writing wasn't for it. It's just, I just have so many questions. And one, I really just don't trust white queer folks. I don't trust a lot of white gay folks. I just don't automatically. It doesn't mean that you're an ally. It doesn't mean that me and you are a community. I just don't trust y'all naturally. And I don't trust y'all because y'all are still white and y'all still hold power. And sometimes you all don't think that you do hold power. And you do. But this is not a drag of that. I already got plenty of videos of that. But I want to talk about not just like Ryan Murphy, but the whole machine around. We got these crime podcasts, we got these crime stories that are coming on. Where people are making profits, and even my family is somewhat a victim of it. My aunt, she had her story told on one of the shows. I can't think of it. And when they did the story, they left so many details out. My mother practically didn't even exist. Like my mother and father didn't even exist in the story. They had it seem as though my grandmama had the kids and stuff. It was just a whole bunch of mess. So I can't relate all the way like the families and the loved ones of Jeffrey Dahmer, but I know what it feels like to have your loved one's story told, and it's being like commercialized. It's being like, hey, we're gonna make profit off of it. It's disgusting because it's just like, if we are focusing, what are we focusing on? Are we interested in telling the story? Are we interested in telling a story that's good enough to make people want to watch it, enjoy, and spend money? And that's what I'm getting from this. And I'm seeing the humanizing of Jeffrey Dahmer in the first couple of episodes. Like, yes, I see how Netflix did it. They were very specific how they showed it in the beginning, how they started off with him getting caught, to him going through his childhood and stuff. But telling anyone's story of their childhood automatically humanizes a person, because it's something that we all can relate to. Being a child, like, oh, I was a child at one point. I had parents or whatever. Like, I have some people who raised me or didn't, and some of us can relate to being seeing our parents going through the divorce and fighting and all the other stuff. So that becomes like a natural, like, humanizing and stuff, like, oh my gosh. And you had that happening, and now I'm getting on social media and I'm seeing the loved ones of the victims talk about that they are not being compensated by this. They did not want this series to be out. They're seeing, their family members, getting on trial, telling the story, like testifying, and they're seeing somebody redo that, like reliving this trauma. And people say, oh, well, you don't have to watch it. You can turn Netflix off. You don't have to watch it. But we see it. Like someone like me who had no interest in watching it saw retweets of people making light of these black people being killed and murdered. Like you literally saw that, like, and I was like, okay, maybe it's one. Y'all just start popping up everywhere. Matter of fact, I'm not blurring y'all names out. I think folks need to see some of y'all because some of y'all are truly unhinged. You saw folks were saying, oh, well, Jeffrey Dahmer was, you know, he would have got me. He could have got me because, girl, he did look good. The mugshot is giving. Like you saw jokes from black queer people making fun of like folks being murdered. Like black gay folks being murdered. Are y'all okay? Are y'all okay? Like what's not clicking? And that's what was the reason for a lot of folks saying this series does not need to come out, because we are truly desensitized to a lot of things. So this is another thing where we saw black queer folks, black, you know, gay people murdered, and the police not believing the stories being told, like how the victims were, oh, they're sex workers, they're this and that, like making it seem as it's their fault. And we also see that in the jokes. Oh, he would have got me because I was thought like, you should be able to thought around, do whatever without being murdered. This man was literally preying on the most vulnerable. And now you have the most vulnerable people making jokes off of it. Like this could not have been, these were our elders. If these folks were still alive, they would be our elders. We've already lost so many black gay folks to like the AIDS and HIV epidemic. We saw that. We saw that. Like there's books written about this stuff. We don't have a lot of older gay black folks in the community because a lot of them died. And not just that from the failure of the US government, but you have the failure of the state to do something that they're paid, that we pay taxes to do. You had this black woman telling it like, hey, what's going on? Like, this looks like a child. Like, what's going on? Like, you need to, and it's just, the HIV stigma even jumped out. The police didn't want to even get that involved and touch anything because they felt like they would contract something. So it's just, the whole system, the whole thing was helping even more. The whole system was working against black folks. You have this anti-black man preying on black folks, and you have the system that is anti-black that is helping him torture, terrorize, and murder victims. This is, when we get on social media and we talk about these things, we're not talking about this stuff because we want to. We're talking about it for our health, because it's like, we are so deep in this, and it's truly destroying us. And for me, being a black gay man living with HIV at the age of 35, and I'm watching black gay men around my age and younger making jokes about and lusting after a white man, like who is a serial killer who murdered black folks. Like, I can't, it is so hard for me to comprehend. I had to log out of my account and log into another one to see if this is truly true. Like, are y'all being serious? And I don't know if some of y'all are so, like, maybe y'all brains are rewired to want some attention so bad online. You're not getting it where you are at, that you need it so bad online that you have to make up a story of this man who's been dead for a minute now. You would have got caught, he would have got you. Like, are you okay? No, you're not okay, sis. These are black gay folks who are no longer with us, who no longer can tell their stories or live their stories because that's been taken away from them. And to get on there, it's not funny. It's not funny. It's no way to make this funny. And that is why the victims, family, and loved ones, and other folks have said, I don't think this is a good idea. The victim's family is not getting any money from Netflix. Netflix is not putting any of these profits and coin to a foundation to make sure that these folks like are being taken care of or whatever, or getting whatever. Like, they're just not doing that. Like, just like black folks we'll just continue to just profit off of us. Just continue to pillage and destroy us and take away. Like, it's just like, I'm just watching these folks. This corporation paid this white man to tell stories of a white man killing black folks. This white man is getting paid to tell a story of a white man killing minorities. Like, you can't make this up. This is anti-blackness. This is white supremacy in full effect. This is all that is. And if you are one of those folks making jokes and making light of this situation, you are just as sick as Jeffrey Dahmer. You're just as sick. Like, there's no way y'all are watching 3-4 episodes of this and seeing this man, do these things, having full access to the internet that you're using to lust after this dead man who's a serial killer. You are making jokes about how he's attractive, and you know what? Desirability jumping out, because y'all cannot help. You cannot. This is why I talk about it so much. You can't help but to think, oh, he did all these heinous things, all these disgusting things, but he was attractive, and he's not really a looker. He's just white and thin. He's just white and thin. Two of the things that a lot of folks, that's all you have to be. You either one of them, you automatic. It's automatic. Like, they could not understand how a white, thin man is out here being that bad. Because that's something that you don't see. Like, a person to do all these heinous, disgusting things has to look, quote unquote, disgusting and unattractive and undesirable. But that, it's like, you have to point out the fact that this man was attractive. Why do you feel the need to want to say that this man is attractive? Think about that for a second, and think about how many times people have done harm, how many times people have been accused of rape, sexual assault, all these things, and people like murder, all these things. I mean, we've seen that with the model a couple of years ago who was in Prison Bay. But we have to say, well, damn, they are attractive. Like, that is how strong desire capital is, because you can be all of the disgusting things. You can truly be all these things, and people will still find some way to find good in you because you are attractive. That's sick. And the reason why I'm saying people who are out here lusting after Jeffrey Dahmer are just as bad, because y'all are finding attractiveness in someone who has committed harm and violence to people who look like you. So the same way I'm looking at Jeffrey Dahmer and saying how like disgusting it is for you to be out here wanting, like, getting turned on by someone, like eating someone's body and stuff. Somebody is turned on by a serial killer being attractive. Y'all are just as sick, and y'all need to be somewhere getting treated to be honest. Like, it's just not making sense to me. But the people who I hold completely responsible are Netflix and Ryan Murphy. Because sometimes we just need to say, you know what, that story doesn't need to be told. But the money is so important. Capitalism jumps out. They have to make money. They have to make money. And to say, well, y'all shouldn't have watched it. Y'all shouldn't have watched it. I literally did that. It's the movie, the series came out on the 21st. It's been 9 days. And I've been seeing non-stop people talk about it. Non-stop people being desensitized, people being violent and talking about, oh, well, he was attractive, he was cute, like he would have got me, and thinking nothing of it. Thinking nothing of it, like it just is what it is, he was attractive. And it's like, y'all are not okay. So I want you to really ask yourselves, what was the purpose? I want us to ask ourselves, when they do these stories and they retell these stories, who does it really serve? Does it help the victims? Does it help, like, who does it help? We can say it, quote unquote, helps the victims, but capitalism is definitely in a play with this. And they are making profits off of Black Death, which is a real thing that happens a lot. So that's all my thoughts on it. I have a lot of other things that I probably could say, but girl, I'm not gonna do too much on YouTube. But tell me what y'all thought about my conversation. If you've seen it, what was your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. How do you feel with seeing all these people lust after this serial killer who, you know, did these things? Let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.